Welcome to Fiery Discourse, your podcast or media featuring dragonesses, female dinosaurs, and other similar saurians and scalies. I'm your host, Ludmillanon, and with me are my co-hosts, Angron, Mathmachine, The Shark, and Stryker. Today is our 119th episode, and we're discussing the 2017 Restaurant in Another World episode, Curry Rice, Curry Chicken, for our theme month of Isekai Month. So, let's get things started.
この日の世界で君と目がり張る奇跡レベルティへそうな確率なびひるファンファーレきっと始まる Delicious na my life 捕まえよ One in a billion. Had to get that out there.
Well, that certainly is definitely an interesting way to begin the episode. So yeah, this is our second month of Isekai Month for the month of May. We're discussing different Isekai for the entire month. So, Restaurant to Another World began as a light novel in 2013, then it got a manga and anime in 2017. Go ahead, Shark.
Yeah, this is a cooking show, and we need a more iconic cooking intro. So, you take the moon, you take the sun,
You take everything that seems like fun. Start it all up and then you're done. Roar, 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 roar.
Great way to start this. But yeah, the anime is about Nagoya, which is a restaurant in a Tokyo shopping district that offers Japanese version of Western dishes. The restaurant is seemingly closed on weekends, but on Saturday, portals to other worlds open where fantastical creatures enter to savor the food, becoming regular patrons of the restaurant in the process. The show has basically two different plot lines per episode, and we're going to discuss both of them, which very, very interesting. Like I say, if you do get very easily hungry, do not watch this show on an empty stomach. Let's do it that way. Oh, go ahead,
Math.
With this series, they cooked.
Math.
In more ways than one.
Many more ways than one.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Also,
go ahead, Zach.
I mean, calling this a proper isekai would be a little bit of a stretch. I would call this a reverse isekai, but hey, it still counts, more or less.
Yeah, it definitely does. But the episode begins with a slow zoom in on the restaurant logo, which depicts a cat holding it up in a really cute way. We then cut inside the restaurants to Alphonse, who is a bearded man who's busy finishing a meal and sighing heavily. The man then thanks the master cook, whose name is literally Master, for his hospitality, as Master looks confused over this. The man then walks to the door as Master says that he hopes to see the man again. Alphonse says that he will as he opens the door to reveal an idealistic wooded area. Oh, go ahead, Angron.
Save your appetite for the feast with the master. Your labor is required. Before that, much to do. For all the Avarantis fans out there, this one goes out to you.
Yeah.
Nice. But yeah, now we get the intro of the show, which, as we did the previous week, we're going to discuss pretty much all the intros and outros to the series in depth. This one is set to the song 1 in a Billion by Mayen. Wikipedia was not clear
Wake
about
Up
the
Maine. That's why I choose to call it.
Okay, all good. The intro then begins with a shot of the forest before cutting to Aletta, who is a blonde-haired demon woman holding a lantern. The shot then cuts to the restaurant with a pile of pans, then a shot of the restaurant, then a shot of the burners heating up, which, at this point, I thought to myself, oh, they're editing this intro the same way they opened the Krusty Krab training video.
Nice.
Yeah. We then see that, food is being cooked in the pan as Aletta stops and looks at a door in the tree. Obviously, if you can get to the restaurant through a tree door, we know that Jack's skeleton is going to show up some point, but of course, since he's a skeleton, guy can't eat. But
I mean, he can't have milk.
That's true. But the door then opens as it zooms into the title card, which is shown over a shot of various recipes. And it's here where the intro, I thought, okay, this is nice, calm, relaxing intro. It really picks up after this. Like, this is going to sound so crazy when we're saying this verbally, but let's say it this way. The first, maybe 15 seconds of the intro, compared to the rest of it, is like night and day at times. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, when you see a show like Restaurant to Another World, you think, oh, just calm, casual, low-key kind of vibes, and that's what the show is. So, obviously, they picked an intro that was high-energy, idle J-pop. That makes perfect
Yep.
sense.
Well, that's Japan for you.
Yep, it's Japan, don't question it. Also, like, it's honestly kind of funny, like, the sort of trend of making, like, the most bare bones of anime, like, someone going to an office, or, like, freaking, someone traveling to, like, to an office or something like that, or to the grocery store. But, like, the theme completely betrays the tone, and, like, you basically hear it calm at first or something like that, and then you get like absolute batshit insanity going later.
Yeah. But yeah, like we said, the song picks up in tempo as we see a griffin fly by, then a montage of the door in various locations. We see several of the characters all looking at the door in awe before we cut to a group of various fairies staring at an ice cream, basically in awe overseeing it. And yeah, ice cream is the universal language apparently. Shame Navi couldn't be there, but what can you do?
Yep.
We then cut to Aletta, who works as a waitress before holding up 2 plates, then another montage of various food dishes. And we also get to see, I really like how they do the world building, and they do it so in a subtle way here. We see all the different various fantasy races all enjoying the food, including them all toasting, and a dragoness, Red, breathing fire from the heat of the dish. And yes, we're going to see more of Red later.
Yeah.
But we then cut to a destroyed moon where we see Kuro sensing something, and not to give too many spoilers away for the actual episode, but Kuro is going to be very important later on to this podcast. Let's put it that way. Yep.
Destroy the moon. Dang it. I guess Eggman was here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he couldn't get a reservation, so that's why he did that. But yeah, basically we cut to go ahead. Yeah.
As is my job, Kuro. Literal translation means black.
Huh.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. Huh. Interesting. And like I say, that definitely will come into play later. But for now, what happens is we cut to tomatoes being cut, a cutlet being cooked, and a steak being covered in sauce. We then see Master bowing to the camera before we pan across a long table filled with all the other races eating. Then to Master, Aletta, and Kuro looking towards the camera. And this intro ends with a shot of the restaurateur with the logo on it. After the intro, we then see a ship sailing away from a desert island with Alphonse looking towards it. A sailor approaches Alphonse, who it turns out is an admiral, and asks if everything is okay, with Alphonse telling the sailor that there is a difference between waiting for 7,000 days and waiting for 7 days 1,000 times. The sailor doesn't know what he's talking about, as Alphonse tells him to forget about it, saying that he was obviously thinking out loud. We then get a sepia tone over the footage as the sailor narrates over how Alphonse was a naval admiral who led merchant ships across the sea. However, the ships are then attacked by a giant kraken, obviously none other than the work of Davy Jones, because he was upset that he couldn't get a restaurant reservation. Do you fear death?
Yeah. Man. Also, that freaking reminds me. Just be thankful that he didn't get paid. He didn't get a bill for like $100 at first, and
That too.
yeah, it's basically like Mr. Krabs levels of getting ripped off.
Oh,
Here's your
God.
actual bill.
That would have been amazing if we got that too.
Yeah.
But Alphonse managed to get to the other ships to safety at the cost of his own, and he disappeared. However, as we know, Alphonse did not die, but he instead washed up onto a desert island. He's confronted by a horned wolf, causing the man to basically fight with the beast and kill it for food. Unfortunately, there is no serendipity on this island, as she could definitely get him to calm down. But at least Septimus and Tristan aren't here as well, because they would just run away screaming from this guy.
Yeah. Also, I'm just thankful that's not the Kuro from Farming Life. That would end poorly.
That too. But he then carves notches in a rock, as it turns out he lived alone on the island for 20 years before being rescued by the naval ship. Despite being saved, Alphonse is reluctant to leave the island. We then cut back to Alphonse in the cave as the man is shaving his beard with his knife, then carves yet another notch in the calendar on the wall, noting that he'll probably go, and one thing I have to say about Alphonse, he goes to he stands in front of the door. He knows it's been 7 days before entering it again. And obviously he's going back to the restaurant. But you went to the restaurant all this time. And what a selfish jerk. Not once did he think to bring Wilson the volleyball with him.
Wilson! Too obvious.
I had to do that. I apologize. But yeah, we then cut back to Alphonse on the boat, with the sailor saying that it took 3 days for them to repair the boat, but they set sail soon afterwards with the admiral on board. We then hear Alphonse's thoughts as he wonders if there'll be another doorway somewhere in the duchy, noting that he saw a duchy knife as one of the customers in the restaurant. He says that he'll search there no matter what as he returns to land before staring forlornly at the island. We then cut to Alphonse riding a horse as the title card says it's been 3 months later. The admiral makes it to a log cabin that has a door to the restaurant as the man notes that there is one there and it's closer than he expected as he enters. The man goes into the restaurant and is greeted by Aletta, and basically Master is surprised to see him, noting that it's been quite a while since he came to the restaurant, and I do like that they did that. They actually make Master seem like he's stoic, yes, he's slightly distant, yes, but he still cares about his customers, which I give him all the credit for that, that kind of world building.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, what happens is after saying it's good to see Master, we then get a close-up on Alphonse's mouth as the man demands curry rice to be made immediately. And I have to just say this. Both of the main characters in this episode are after my own heart because I love Indian food too. I mean, it is so good.
I think it's all right.
Yep.
I'm not
go ahead, Matt.
too big into it. I prefer Mexican spice over Indian spice, but yeah, I don't mind a curry or two here or there.
Go ahead, Matt.
One of the things I really love about this series is that the way that it does subtle world building. All of the restaurant patrons refer to the day that they're able to go to the restaurant as the day of Saturn because the previous restaurant owner and the current one have explained that the door is only open on Saturday. This other world has no concept of our calendar, so they keep referring to Saturday as the day of Saturn.
Indeed.
Ooh, nice. Like I say, I love that kind of world building in a show like that. But, however, basically Master says he'll get right on the cooking as Aletta gives him his ice water and a moist towel. The man wipes his face with the towel and drinks the water before he yells at the demon waitress over how long it's taking. If Alphonse keeps this up, Master's probably going to have to give him the nasty curry. Look at him choke! Look at him suffer!
Wow.
That depends. Then they'll have to worry about hiding the body.
That too. Well,
and then realizing it's a zombie, which, given this world, they probably could accidentally make him a zombie, but have him completely be normal, and then the health inspectors will just beat the crap out of him.
Yeah.
Easily.
Go ahead.
Also, if it was Homer, he will be like, "Where is my curry? Where is my curry?
Where's my curry?"
Oh, when the dragon burns him.
Yeah.
That. Oh man, I can picture it now. That would be absolutely amazing. But yeah, basically, unfortunately, that does not happen. But what does happen is Aletta says it won't be that long as you cut to Master making the curry and pouring it over the white rice. And it is kind of ironic that this show, which is more about cooking and the joys of food and the joys of restaurants, that last week's show, Farming Life in Another World, had more of a step-by-step way of showing how basically food is made compared to this show. But I will say this, basically the food preparation moments are really, really well animated. They put a lot of effort into this part alone because they probably knew this was the hook for the series, and they easily did it 150%. It looks so good.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah, just like another cooking anime show, it reminds me of the cooking sequence in Delicious and Dungeon, especially when Senshi is the chef.
Nice.
True. Yep. But basically, Aletta then serves it to Alphonse to get a title card over the dish saying Menu 13, curry rice. Alphonse smells the dish before eating it, noting how good it tastes and how he could never get tired of eating it. We then cut back to the island as we see shots of a younger Alphonse on the island, basically preparing a fight with Chimera. He lunges at it with a sword to get a spray of red on the screen, then blacks of the chimera falling dead on the ground. Alphonse narrates then that he had to battle the beasts of the island hundreds of times, and when he eventually found the restaurant, every single time, he always ordered curry rice. We then get basically a nice little flashback within a flashback, which, flashbackception right here, but basically, we see the first time he entered the door. Daiki, the restaurant's original chef, greets him as Alphonse pulls his sword on the chef, demanding to know basically where he is and how he got there. The elder chef tells him that this is a restaurant, as Alphonse basically questions why and how there is an eatery there. I just love that basically the head chef's answer, that he literally just says, yeah, to it, which is kind of unintentionally funny to me, because you have like this man who has been living on a desert island for God knows how long. He's been starving. He's had to live off like all kinds of beasts that live on the island. And he stumbles into your restaurant. He basically demands to know what's going on. You're just like, he's so casual about it, I think. I don't know if it's something like the dub in that, but oh well. The chef asks Alphonse if he wants something to eat as the man's stomach growls. Alphonse says that he's starving and he pulls out a sack of money. He gives it to the chef and begs for something to eat as quick as possible. Obviously, he stole that big sack of money from Mr. Egg Cream, who was going to give it to Grandpa Phil. Your egg cream, Mr. Redman.
I don't want an egg cream. I want the big old sack of money.
Yeah, or he accidentally took it from Bumbleion after Rhinoki accidentally dropped the sack.
I definitely can see that. However, I will say this. I also like how basically the head chef is uneasy about taking literally the man who was starving in front of him. He's a little nervous about taking his money, saying that he will make the man some curry, as Alphonse says that he enjoys curry. We then cut back to Alphonse eating his current batch of curry, saying that he ate over 1,000 times and still enjoys it. He finishes his dish and then says it is the master dish of all the restaurant. And yeah, basically we then get another old man in the restaurant, who's basically the only other customer that the restaurant has right now. Basically, he says that he's Alphonse, you're as hungry as ever. Alphonse says that he was hungry, orders seconds with it being a large plate of curry as well. Aletta says she'll get it right to him, as the other old man notes that curry is all that Alphonse eats, wondering how the guy never gets tired of it. Alphonse, meanwhile, gets offended by this, saying that curry has infinite possibilities, then tells the old man to get a pork cutlet curry instead of just a plain pork cutlet all the time, which I have to say is, these two guys better hurry up. They gotta get back to the Muppet Theater to make fun of Fozzie Bear some more.
Nice.
I
don't think this show is appropriate for children.
I don't think this show's appropriate for anybody.
Nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if they want to try something different, they should try either a pizza, hot dog, or hamburger.
Man, DDD totally could have been a great character in this place. I can only imagine him now.
Or Kawasaki could show up as a chef as well.
That too.
Definitely.
Go ahead, Matt.
Interesting little thing about the way that this restaurant works. Because the patrons tend to only order the same thing over and over again, they often refer to each other by the dish they order. So that mage that Alphonse is talking to is just often called pork loin cutlet.
Yeah.
Oh
Okay,
gosh.
Then.
The name
Wow.
for the characters reminds me of...
Oh man. Now imagining like someone walking in and they just like order a simple eel with rice, and every time they come in it's like, hey, eel with rice, or hey, hard boiled egg, or the ever rare and possibly unique, oh hey, it's Mr. Fettuccine Alfredo with tomato soup.
Nice. Yeah. But you were saying, Chuck?
No, it's the whole DDD thing now.
Oh, all good. So yeah, basically what happens though is that the other old man basically finishes his beer and notes the only good thing that goes with pork cutlet is cutlet sauce and beer. Alphonse says some people never change and pours himself another glass of water. The man then impatiently waits for a second helping, and a letter arrives as the man asks if it's ready. Master, meanwhile, says that he's been working on another curry recipe as Alphonse is eager to try it, and So far with this show, you're thinking, oh yeah, pretty sedate, pretty nice slice of life thing about, restaurant, pretty interesting. Here's where it gets interesting. Like, I was not expecting this because this is my first time I ever saw this show. This kind of threw me for a loop, basically.
Oh.
Yep. We then cut to the destroyed moon, much like the intro, where our main character of the episode, who we saw in the intro, our dragoness, is waiting there. Basically, Kuro. She's in her full dragoness form, which shows her having basically navy blue scales with a lighter set of scales in her belly, a literal crown of horns sticking out of the back of her head, a set of powerful wings, and much to my surprise, especially considering when this is made and where this is made, she has a really bottom-heavy design, which really, really surprised me. They definitely made her more rotund. Sorry, go check.
They know what their audience wants.
Yep,
Yeah,
at least
they
for
do.
us. Definitely. But we'll then hear narration from Kuro as she notes that in her long solitude, she is waiting alone. She opens her eyes, which allows us to see her yellow eyes as she thinks back to her past. We then get parchment-style paper as we see Red, who is a aggressive and brave fire dragoness whose flames could burn the world to ashes. Then her calmer counterpart, the dragoness who controls the seas named Blue. Unfortunately, Yellow does not show up because that's just Pikachu right there.
I mean, technically it does, but yeah.
We then see the Sky Dragon, who controls the heavens and knows every inch of the skies, Gold. Then the dragon that can control the earth, Green. We then see Kuro's counterpart, the White Dragon, who has authority over light and growth of all living beings, and Kuro herself is none other than the harbinger of death and darkness. Silver is, of course, Lugia, but she couldn't show up, unfortunately.
Nice.
Shame. But Kuro notes that they had to join forces to fight a chaos monster, which is basically depicted by one of the most freakiest things I have ever seen, especially a pair of giant, monstrous teeth surrounded by what is like little glowing orbs of all various colors in that, and it has like tentacles all surrounding it that all have teeth in it. Like, I think if Discord showed up and had to fight this guy, he'd go back to Fluttershy's for some tea. Let's do it that way.
Yeah, I also like to imagine that this was like this was like a member of Bill Cipher's crew that even Cypher was like, "Ugh, get a life," and just freaking cast him into another dimension just out of spite.
Yeah, definitely.
And of
Okay,
course,
Chuck?
it's the type of thing our boy Kirby will just show up, kill, and go back to eat his sandwich.
Yeah, he'd
Yeah.
probably go back to the restaurant and order frickin' strawberry shortcake, and his nickname would be, "Oh hey, strawberry shortcake." Hi.
Yeah, they better watch out. Kirby would probably eat everything in the restaurant. Let's be
He
real.
would.
He easily would. So, yeah, Kirby's a good boy, but I don't know. He's the kind of customer you want in that kind of place.
They'd ask for his payment after.
That too,
Yes.
because again, the boy does not know about money.
Yeah.
Neither
Also.
does Kuro, as we find out.
Yep. Matt, go ahead.
Yes, I good.
Oh, hey, you want a nice little casual show about cooking? All right, here's a giant battle against a chaos entity that created the world tens of thousands of years ago. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, that
I mean,
actually,
that's nice to know.
There.
that actually was my reaction. That honestly was my reaction to it because I honestly thought that like the shot of Kuro on the moon in the intro, which spoiler, yes, she was the same character we saw in the intro sitting on the
Yes.
moon, basically. I thought that she was maybe a character from another episode, but when we cut back to her and the Chaos Demon and all that stuff, I was like, I'm sorry, did the video have a glitch and it's playing an episode of a different anime?
Right.
It was weird at first, but yeah,
Yep.
it really worked though.
It very
Yeah.
much did.
Definitely. So what happens though is that Kuro says that they fought the Chaos Monster 1,000 times over and were defeated 1,000 times over before eventually destroying it. However, she then notes that all of the beings that were born after the battle were terribly weak. As she flies over a group of elves, black death magic comes off of Kuro's body and causes basically the elves to all disintegrate. But Kuro shouldn't be too bad. It wasn't her. It was just Thanos, you know?
Yeah.
She shouldn't take the blame for that because the way it's done is eerily similar to like Avengers Endgame and that, which I have to wonder if it was a stylistic choice or not because this came out before that, I believe.
Yeah.
But regardless, pretty interesting nonetheless. But basically, I do like what they do with Kuro's character here, in that she notes that if they were enemies or wicked people, she would not have been bothered by this, but she could not bear the idea of killing innocent beings as she sheds a tear. She says that because she was present and because of her, they died. She did not want to be like the Chaos Monster. And again, this is a show that literally less than maybe 2 minutes ago, the plot line was, oh, hey, we made some chicken curry. You want to try the chicken curry? Okay, chicken curry sounds delicious. And now,
Yeah.
like I say, and what it literally is just the mood whiplash. Like, the tonal shift is very, very interesting. Let's do it that way. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Angron.
Yeah, it definitely works. Also, yeah, it would just go from Void Termina, master of all destruction and darkness in the universe, and it comes to the freaking restaurant. It's just like, oh hey, it's Jelly Tart and Jelly Tart Junior, and it's just shows Zubea and Zim.
Yeah, nice.
At least we know who Garlic is.
Wow.
Yep, we'll get to more of him one time too, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, nice. So yeah, the dragons basically divided the world amongst themselves, in which case I have to say one thing. They did a way better job dividing the world than Middle Earth did. And Kuro basically took the end of the sky, which in this case is the moon, as it's filled with magic, and she cannot hurt anybody up there. So she basically exiled herself from all of existence, basically. And since she's on the moon, she's probably going to find Princess Luna up there, so maybe they could get along.
Yeah, she also freaking has become a sheltered otaku or something like that, where she's like ordering stuff online via like Grubhub, Amazon, and like NASA. Amazon sending people up to the moon via rockets, and it's like, hey there, your order for McDonald's. I asked for this 5 weeks ago. Sorry.
Yeah,
Eh,
nice.
yeah, and last but not least, Link chasing Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
Yep. Or she'd find the Powerpuff Girls up there because they exiled themselves to the moon as well when they thought they screwed things up.
Technically, it was an asteroid. It was the asteroid belt, but
Yep, same. Sorry. But yeah, basically what happens though next is that Kuro basically curls up on the moon and stares at the ground before a giant black rock falls from the heavens and lands on the moon. I guess David Bowman and Frank Poole are going to be very happy. Seems like they finally found the monolith.
nice.
That's your obscure reference of the episode, folks. But yeah, basically the dragoness then opens up her eyes and turns to see the restaurant door on the moon, wondering again and how it managed to get there, which brings up a lot of implications that, like, did this door land on the moon before and she never really noticed it, or basically didn't really take much thought into it? Because if so, that is a very interesting plot line if they did something like that.
Indeed.
Yep. However, basically she then narrows her eyes and growls before looking through the door as you see Alphonse talking to Aletta. She says that she'll go into the restaurant as she basically prepares to transform, then turns from her dragoness form into a human one, which I have to say one of maybe two things. Number one, boo. Number two, Queen Wicked from Baniculum managed to be in a restaurant in her dragoness form, so she should have no excuse. I mean, Queen Wicked fit through that doorway, no problem, and she was like twice the size as Kuro, so...
Yep. Also, the next and arguably most important part, because she was she put herself in self-exile for several centuries at this point and has not had any proper interaction with anyone in that elongated amount of time. She pretty much forgets to put on any clothes, to put it lightly.
Well, we'll get to that in a little bit, yeah. But no, that does definitely happen. I'm sorry.
Yep.
So
Well,
basically,
actually, Plankton is in a waiter here because we will constantly be hearing him going, "Good grief, she's naked!"
Yeah.
Oh, man. I can only imagine he was here. Oh god, I'm also imagining trying to steal all the formulas, but there's too
Yeah.
many of them to take.
Yep.
But basically, we cut back into the restaurant where Master is telling Alphonse that he wants his opinion about his new curry recipe. He basically says that people want a curry dish made with something without pork, as Master says that he took a while before getting a dish he was satisfied with. He wants Alphonse to try the dish, as it won't cost the Admiral anything, and Alphonse, being a huge curry fan that he is enthused to have it. We then cut to, of course, another title card and the plate being displayed, which is Menu 14, which is the chicken curry. Aletta notes that it's spicier than usual, and DDD would definitely like it because, to quote the guy, I want something spicy!
Nice.
Yeah, but we then see Alphonse staring at the curry. The man then notes the curry-colored soup with skinless fowl meat, then notes he doesn't see anything in the boat that is holding the curry. He then looks at the white rice and says how it looks different from the rice that was covered with his regular curry. He basically smells the aroma coming from it, then he eats it on his own. Basically, the spice, however, turns out to be too much for him, forcing the man to basically guzzle down his glass of water before he basically stares at it for a couple of minutes. Then he finally puts two and two together. You're supposed to put the curry on the rice and eat it.
Exactly.
Yep.
Who knew?
Yep. Sure. It's like,
yes.
yeah, you didn't eat
Genius.
Yep. You didn't eat curry rice like 7,000 times in a row, and you never put two and two together like, hey, maybe the curry goes on the rice, like the other curry rice I eat. But, yeah, guy was on a desert island, so can't blame him.
Yeah.
But when he does put the curry on the rice and eats it, he enjoys the flavor immensely. The man notes that eating the curry with the rice both reduces the spiciness of the dish as well as increases its savory flavor. He basically says also about how the vegetables dissolve right into the curry and how it tastes so good. He basically goes on to say that it's amazing how the meat melts in his mouth, and his facial reactions here are really, really funny. Like the show isn't as funny as last week's as Farming Life, I will give it that much, but it definitely has its moments, and this is 100% one of them. Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead, Angron.
Yeah, to be fair, nothing will ever top Dragon Waifu getting fished by Spider. But yeah, here basically him salivating and just basically orgasming over freaking food is quite possibly the most hilarious thing I have ever seen someone of his stature do. And like, this was the guy who was already like, "Where's my food, damn it?" And now he's just trying this new dish, and he's like, "This is the food of the gods." Except,
Yeah.
unlike that food of the gods, this doesn't turn him into a giant.
Nice. Shark, you were saying?
Yeah, unlike last week episode, there isn't that many moments where the art ships, like, they don't become chibi, they don't look like they were drowned by kids, or they don't become suddenly handsome and talk about that Kirby there. But still, good moments, but I do wish there were moments where the dragons did look sillier.
Yeah.
I will say that much. I definitely agree with you there. This feels like more of a serious show than last week's. Like, because I feel personally, we're going to compare all of the animes to each other when we do the last episode in 2 weeks from now. But basically, yeah, I kind of have to agree with you there. I like it. It's really great. It has great design, great characters. I feel like it takes itself just maybe a tiny bit too seriously. And that being said, it's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I know what it's going for. It's not supposed to be like a ha-ha funny show like Farming Life, but
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe just a little bit more levity would be a little bit better. But
I
regardless,
agree.
it's still a great show regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But we do get something that is really funny, which is Alphonse's over-the-top reaction is coupled by a pair of chickens with glowing eyes suddenly appearing next to him. That really got a laugh at me. That probably, for me at least, is the funniest joke of the episode with the two like chickens with the glowing red eyes basically crowing in triumph. Like that made me laugh. Go ahead, Angron.
Yeah, this would be the kind of dish Ed would salivate over. And also, him and Alphonse would 100% be chicken buddies because of this.
Easily.
Chicken!
Yep, and another character would probably be too. But he wolfs down the curry as Master asks him if he likes the extra spicy kind. Alphonse notes that it's different from his usual order, but he thinks it's absolutely delicious. Suddenly, basically Kuro appears from off screen and asks if she can have some as well. Everyone gasps in surprise, not because she's a dragoness, but because, as we kind of spoiled early on, she is completely naked in her human form, which this was also something I was not expecting to see from this show. I thought this would be one of those shows that, like last week, when they turn to the human form, they suddenly magically have clothes, but they didn't do it here.
Yeah, like I said, she was on that moon for a very, very long while. So typical social customs would have gone over her head at that point. Also, if it wasn't for her hair and the table blocking most of her extremities, this would definitely have gotten a higher rating.
Yeah, but it is the human form, so we'll have to see how much that would have done. But yeah, basically Aletta covers up her breast with a menu as she yells that Kuro can't go around like that. Oh, go ahead, Shark.
Maybe they can actually like become human with clothes, but they just forgot this time. I don't know. They're magical. They can do whatever they wish.
True, that is very, very true. Math?
My favorite part of that interaction, and again, it's these subtle little blink and you miss it things. Because Aletta is a demon, she, instead of yelling, "Oh my god," when she's covering up Kuro, she yells, "Oh my devil."
Huh.
Nice.
I did not notice that. That is cool. I love when shows do that. I really do.
I forgot she did that.
Huh.
Yep.
That is really,
Also,
really
it's
funny.
because Joseph Joestar trademarked the "Oh my god" saying.
That is very, very true.
Oh my goodness! Squidward!
That too. But yeah, basically, what happens though is Master hides his face as he tells Kuro to basically put some clothes on as she does so, a swarm of black magic covering her before she appears in a black dress. Master notes that watching them use magic is incredible, as Alphonse says that elves are amazing, but he never saw them use that kind of magic. And basically, Alphonse then says that put the chicken curry on his bill and he orders her some as Master goes in the back to make it. The other old man notes Kuro and is worried, wondering if it is another of her kind, as we see a giant red dragoness, who it turns out is the same one from the intro that breathed the fire. More on her in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, basically the man says that if Kuro is a dragoness, then there's nothing he could do basically is sit and watch. However, Kuro is served the chicken curry and begins eating it. Basically, she eats it like a normal person for about maybe 5 seconds before suddenly her eyes open and she notes how delicious it is, causing her to eat it faster. She then demands another plate, causing Aletta to note that it'll be out shortly. Oh, go ahead, Angron.
Yeah, she also has more self-restraint than Thor. She doesn't throw something down, but she's just like, another! And that's honestly it.
Yeah. Well, if it was Lasty Moon, she definitely would have broken the plates as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But basically, what happens, though, is Alphonse also eats another one quickly and demands another one as well. Aletta goes in the back and tells Master that they've ordered 2 more chicken curries and is afraid about the bill. Alphonse says that he'll pay for Kuro's bill and to let her eat as much as she wants, with Master knowing that the bag of gold coins he has still won't run out, to which I have to say, famous last words and all.
Yep. Yep,
Go
he'd
ahead,
come
Chuck.
to regret that. If only it was this bag of infinite coins from Wario Land Shake It.
Yeah.
That too. But, go ahead, Angron.
Yep, it's basically that scene from the SpongeBob movie where it's like, later!
Yes, exactly. Wait,
And another one. And
Yeah, that's
another
it.
one.
Yeah, but yeah, as Angron said, we then cut to them being served another plate of chicken curry, them eating it and ordering more. Basically, like the SpongeBob movie, what I think is going to happen is they're eventually going to get hammered off of it. This one goes out to my 2 bestest friends in the whole wide world, Alphonse and this human guy. It's a little ditty called Waiter! And then they collapse. But nope, that does not happen. Alphonse, meanwhile, basically is stuffed after eating 4 whole helpings of it, but Kuro demands more. And we then get something that I also was not expecting in this show, a time lapse. We basically get a sped up time lapse of her basically eating more chicken curry, the plates in the dishes in the plates in the kitchen stacking up more and more, and a clock spinning. And this is really clever because as she's a dragoness, she's probably has a dragon-like appetite, and considering she's lived on the moon for, we don't know how long, she's been stuck up there on the moon with probably nothing to eat. She is, to quote a infamous meme, I'm very hungry.
I
My
Yeah.
God.
don't want none of that.
Yeah, but after a while of
Yeah,
this, we then
she
see
is-
Matt. Oops, go
No,
ahead.
sorry, continue.
No, go ahead. You go.
And yet she eats less than Louis.
Yep.
Yeah.
No one can beat Louis. No one.
Or
no one.
Zubaya.
Or Kirby. But
Yeah.
basically, after a while of this, we then see Master in the kitchen preparing another pot as Red appears in her human form, holding a cooking pot and seeing Kuro there. She then greets her fellow Dragoness telepathically as Kuro notes that it's been a long time since they've seen each other. And yeah, basically Red is the Red Dragoness that she talked about earlier that was the Mistress of Fire and that. And it's interesting, their relationship. I do like what they do with it, that basically Kuro is somehow still younger than Red. It is very, very fascinating stuff. But what happens basically is Aletta asks what she wants as Red orders the beef stew. Then it sits opposite of Kuro. She basically then asks, and this is something I don't get, maybe it's something that ties into later episodes. She asks if it cleared in her territory or it's all clear in her territory, which I guess is referring to the moon.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, cool. Because I wasn't sure there for a couple seconds what basically she was talking about there. Had to rewind it a couple times, but regardless. She then asks Kuro what the most delicious dish is. However, of course, Kuro says the chicken curry, as Red then tells her that in this restaurant, you need money to order food, including chicken curry. Basically, now, Kuro is in the same exact position that Wario was in at the beginning of WarioWare Gold.
Yep.
Pizza time! Oh no, no money!
Yeah, it's pizza time. All right, no money.
Exactly. However, basically, yeah. If only he was here. But yeah, Kuro then looks shocked as Red continues that Kuro will not disgrace herself there, as the restaurant is in her territory, and that if she threatens anyone in the restaurant, Kuro will pay with her life. To which I have to ask, Kuro is the master of life and death, right? Like, what could Red do to Kuro? It really, I really like the world building here. It makes you really intrigued for more of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Kuro then notes that she doesn't have any money and wonders how she's going to get out of it. Red smiles and says that if she doesn't have any money, she can pay the restaurant by working in it. Red then calls over Master and explains the situation to him. When she asks if Kuro can work as an employee, Aletta walks into the room and freezes, being shocked at the suggestion. And like I say, I like this as well. This is another bit of interesting world building that we get in just a couple of minutes, and we see why in a minute, but I really like when they do stuff like this. Oh, go ahead, Angron.
Yeah, basically she goes from unintentionally beating a old duke at an eating contest to basically being forced the bill by her old college friend, basically.
Yeah, basically when you get down to it, it really kind of boils down to that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yep. So basically, yeah, what happens though is that Red says that Kuro will work for Master until her bet is completely paid, and she is going to be paid in leftover chicken curry for the time being, to which apparently Kuro is completely fine with this. However, Aletta is in tears over this, afraid of being fired and basically begging Master that she is still good enough to work for him as he tries to get her to calm down. And one thing I will say too, I like this show, I like this episode, it was a lot of fun. It really just kind of stops because that's the end of the episode. Like, I'm actually kind of shocked there wasn't like a little bit more to it, like a denouement or that. Like, for example, a shot of Kuro getting ready for her first day working at the restaurant or something like that. It's, I don't know, something that is very interesting that they just like stop it right here. But regardless, it's really, really pretty good start. Oh,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Angron first.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Though it does end on a note where like Kuro sees Aletta and Master having their interaction and thinking on it a little more. Then she eventually gets a bit of bit of joy on her face being with people who she didn't accidentally kill with dark magic. It's honestly the first time in a long time she's had company, and her being like this is definitely in character, I gotta say.
Yeah, I gotta give him credit. Like I say, that I could see why. It does definitely make a lot of sense. Go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah, that thing about the episode ending like suddenly, it's quite common in anime actually. Like, there's many of animes where episodes just end like in mid conversation even, or you think they're at least going to show the guy going to the place he's saying nope, it ends right there just after saying it. So I don't know if it's because of time, because they want to be accurate to the manga. It's like, no, we can't add that right now. And even if it looks awkward, we have to finish things like this. So yeah, that's quite common. But hey, at least they didn't cut it out right before they were going to say what is the secret formula.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
And we never got to find out what to do in an emergency situation, which probably would have consisted of both Kuro and Aletta running around screaming while Master kicks out Plankton.
Yeah.
Because there are no maximum overdrive spells.
Nope, not that either. But we then get to the ending of the show, which is set to the song A Small Grain by... Oh, wow, that's going to be a hard name to pronounce. So if Math would like to do the honors of trying to pronounce this name... I'll do it.
Kiyono Yasuno.
Kiyono Yasuno, thank you. I was a little
Nice.
hesitant there, but okay. It basically depicts a side view of the restaurant door as Aletta approaches it hesitantly before opening it up. A yellow light blares from it as you see more close-ups of various parts of the restaurant, such as the hanging lamps and the piano and the tables and all that, and I like that. It makes it feel like a real lived-in location. Like the location is a character in itself.
Yeah, it's cute.
Yep. Basically, go ahead, Math.
The way that the ending is done is more of what you would expect from a show like this. It's that nice, calm little palate cleanser kind of thing. And the reason that it focuses on Aletta is because there is no main character in this series. Aletta is like the closest thing. I'm more of the view that the patrons each episode are the main characters, but if you want to really pin down a main character of the show, it's not Master the Chef, it's her.
Yeah,
I can definitely see that.
She's technically the female main character of the series, more or less. Like, she's not exactly a side character, but she's also not necessarily the main character. She's a main character, but it's whatever.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. But what happens, of course, it then basically Aletta she smiles in joy. We then cut to the interior of the restaurant as various races are all enjoying their meals while Master watches on. We then see a white background as we get various shots of Aletta performing various tasks, and they all meld into each other in a really nice animation style. Like I say, it's not exactly like last week, like chibi, but it's probably the closest thing this show does to it, if that makes any sense. And the ending of the anime ends. Try saying that 5 times fast.
The ending of the anime.
It ends with Aletta leaving and the door closing before disappearing into nothing once again. And yeah, basically Restaurant to Another World is still ongoing, with the light novel and the regular novel still going on, but the anime finished in 2021 and the manga finished in 2019. Will it get like a third season or another manga adaptation? We do not know, but yeah, overall, I enjoyed this one. This is really a great show. Not going to do any compare and contrast to Farming Life just yet, because I'm going to save that for a couple more weeks and that. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this one. It's definitely a different vibe, but I don't know. It really, really is enjoyable. And I mean, the cooking part absolutely helps with it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yep. And speaking of cooking, that ties into the basically Dragoness, not Dragoness Scale, sorry, the question of the week, which is, what is your favorite cooking show or show with food as a predominant element in it? Now, I'll go first. I'm going to say one that is kind of not one you guys are expecting, because I did used to watch it all the time, and it was a really good show. And that's going to be actually a Spanish show, believe it or not, hosted by Carlos Arguñano, and he was basically a very famous chef over here. It's going to be his cooking show, which lasted for like decades upon decades. It was called Cocina Abierto de Carlos, and it ran for literally like 30 years, and it's something that always was a very comforting kind of show in that, It actually started airing in 1989, and it's been going on pretty consistently since then. It shows you how to make all sorts of various regional dishes and that, and also shows basically he goes to various places and tries out the restaurants. He has a very, very natural, very nice kind of a vibe to him. He's one of those figures that, at least over here, he's kind of a mainstay for television, and it's easy to see why. And it's a show that I always remember, at least for me, I always associate with like basically going to the beach in the summer, enjoying going swimming, going in the pool, basically that, having fun, playing pool with my friends. Then I go back and you watch it, and I don't know, the best way to describe it, I think, is comforting,
Yeah.
It's like a comfort kind of show, if that makes any sense. And probably it's a show that literally no one who has listened to this podcast has ever even heard of. But, well, that's the way I pick things sometimes, I guess. But yeah, no, that's definitely going to be my pick, because that is a great, great show. He was a great guy. He's still going on, by the way. And yeah, just as a whole, it really, really has a fantastic vibe to it. So that's going to be my pick. And Angron, what would your pick be?
That is going to be a little bit tricky, because there are not a whole lot of cooking shows that I have seen. Well, there is one that I remember seeing from my old middle school days back in Texas, where we were doing world history, and one of them, and it was called I forget the name specifically. It's made by the same group that made Totally Spies Marathon.
Oh, Marathon.
Yeah, I think it was called like Foods of the World. My food, my flight. I don't know. Either way, it was basically like talking about a family from one country of the world, talking about their like culture and their food. Like there's Mexico, there's Japan, there's Pakistan, I want to say. Either way, there's that. There's also the obvious pick of Chowder, which, yeah, I might let someone else do that, because I really love Chowder, but it feels a little more fantastical than that. But, however, that leaves two options that I can easily choose from. The first, Restaurant to Another World, which
Yeah,
I might need to see more of it, but for now, I think it's pretty great. It's definitely a great cooking anime. But then we have a cooking show that I absolutely enjoy, and honestly, I think I want to give a shout out to this one. So, without further ado, may I present Netflix's very own Nailed It. It's basically
that's a great show.
Nah, I was honestly I honestly didn't know if you knew about it or not, but yeah, Nailed It is basically this cake baking competition where like three amateur-esque cake makers go on this game show and like try their best to match the cake that's been presented by an actual legit cake pastier or whatever, pastiller, I forget the name. But yeah, it's basically that. Like the host, I forget her name, but she is pretty much giving a lot of energy, and like the two people with her, the actual cook himself and another person, I forget which, are just vibing along with her. They're also critiquing the people who are making the cake, and like, good lordy, it's honestly funny seeing the cake, seeing like the people make the cakes, and like seeing them get so close or just going in a goddamn different direction entirely, and at the end they're just like, nailed it. Uneasily. It's awesome. But yeah, I'm gonna give a shout out to that. I'm gonna give a shout out to all the people on who were part of Nailed It. and I'm basically gonna pick that for my favorite cooking show.
Yeah.
Sorry, Hell's Kitchen, not your day.
I definitely can see why, because yeah, that is really, really a fun show right there. It's definitely was one of Netflix funniest ones, to say it that way, in terms of like reality comedies and that. I always remember the infamous Eddie Murphy sketch he did, where he was like the one like to make Sonic the Hedgehog, and it comes out absolutely the most horrific thing you can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nailed it. Like
Yeah,
every time. It's just like no matter what, it's that freaking line that sells it.
I can definitely see why that is such a fun show. You know, that is a great choice. I love doing these kind of questions because it's out of the box stuff like that that really makes me like doing these questions of the week every time. So let's see who's next. Math, what would you pick?
It's got cooking in the name, so I'm going to count
Go
it.
ahead.
Empire Cooking in Another World.
I had a feeling
Ooh.
someone would choose that.
Of course. I've
ahead.
never seen it, but
So-
of course.
The basic premise is this salaryman gets sent to another world, obviously. His skill is online grocery shopping. He has no like superpower skill, it's just that. And so he uses that to cook and gets this really uber powerful, like godlike level familiar, and just him going around trying to live a casual life as shenanigans ensue. The series goes really detailed into the cooking aspect, and it does the restaurant in another world thing of the familiar, because he's from this other world, describing how this cooked food tastes and how it's so different from things that they're used to and all that kind of stuff.
Interesting.
It's a fun little series. It went on for one season. It's got another season coming out this October.
Nice.
It's just a fun little show, and it's just, pardon the pun, a nice comfort food show.
Nice.
Yeah. I can definitely see why, because it sounds like it's a really well made, a lot of fun show. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely, I would actually like to check it out, because so far, with this and Farming Life, I definitely want to check out more stuff in this genre, you know, because there could be a lot of fun watching a lot of this stuff, even if they don't have dragonesses in them, sadly.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see who's next. Shark, what would your pick be?
Yeah, I did mention this show during while we were covering the episode, and that's gonna be Dungeon Meshi, or Delicious in Dungeon, which it's a really clever concept, because it's a adventure anime, but at the same time it's a cooking anime.
Ooh, go ahead.
Yeah, the concept is that there's this party that has to go through a dungeon to rescue the main character's sister, because she got eaten by a dragon. And okay, so in this world you can die, but they can revive you, but they need your body to do that. But they realize that, oh, we have no money, we have no food, what are we going to do? And one of them figures that, well, the dungeon is filled with monsters. What if we cook the monsters?
Uh,
I
Yeah,
remember that.
yeah, and it's a really clever show, because all the characters are unique, and like there's the main character that is the guy with the sword, there's the mage, there's the dwarf that is basically the cook of the dungeon. And I think the creative part is basically how they apply the cook, because they basically translate monsters into real life food. Like, oh, the giant scorpions, yeah, you can cook them like lobsters, basically. Oh, the mimics, they basically have like fake treasure inside, which are bugs, so you can cook the bugs like this. Or the obelisks, you can cook the chicken parts of them and cook like normal chicken, but then it's stuff like, no, the snake part is better. Or there's like the bubbles with conscience that, oh, you can use cook what are meant to make the rings and all. And it's really creative on that part. But another reason why I like this show so much, it's funny. It's just funny. It's one of the funniest animes I have ever seen, because every single joke lands, every single character has a quirk that works for them. And it's like, there's Marcel, which is basically the healer or the mage of the group, that she's supposed to be like the serious member of the group, like the one that goes like, No, we are not eating monsters. But every time they cook them, she tries them and she finds it delicious, but she doesn't want to admit it. So she just makes like faces like, no, it's not good, guys. No, but it's great. It's a great running gag with her.
The next one becomes her favorite all the time.
Yeah.
That sounds so great.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
my dad, and my sister have basically basically sold me on this show, but I have never found the time to actually sit down and give it an honest watch. I might do that at some point.
Well, there's a female dragoness at one point, so you might have to eventually.
Oh, hell yeah.
Ooh, that is-
Yeah.
yeah, that is definitely interesting. Like I say, I have got to check that out because it really sounds like a lot of fun.
The first half is already out. The second half should come out sometime this year. They already announced it, so it'll be fun once it's out.
Definitely gonna look forward to it. And if there's a dragoness, we're gonna talk about it. So gonna be a lot of fun. So let's see. That leaves Stryker. What is your pick gonna be?
My pick is actually probably something no one here would have expected.
Go ahead.
Toriko.
Huh.
Oh,
Toriko.
It's a cooking anime that's combined with the comedy and action of Dragon Ball Z.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Ooh.
Yeah. The anime ends pretty early, but the story continues on in the manga. However, the anime is still very good.
Nice.
Hell yeah. I only watched the first episode, but even from that, I was very interested, and it's hilarious.
Nice.
Like,
that's okay.
you're good. You're good. I love how the title character Toriko, his fighting technique is very interesting. Where it's the knife and fork technique. Literally, one hand is in like a sort of claw, form, and the other is like straight, where it's like one hand is a fork and the other's a knife.
Huh.
It's
It
interesting.
sounds really interesting. Yeah.
It's more interesting than I described.
Yeah. Yep. If it is, because I already want to check it out just from your description. I mean, so I definitely want to check it out even more. So, Matthew, you're saying?
To explain the kind of show that they were trying to make this, it does have that cooking aspect. There was a crossover to try and promote it that was Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, and Toriko.
Oh yeah, Taste of the Devil Fruit.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've heard about that. I've been meaning to check it out, but I don't know.
It's a one-shot that was only included with one set of One Piece for some reason.
Yeah. Well, unlike freaking Food Hunters, which had 2 or so collabs with One Piece.
Ah, interesting.
Interesting.
I remember it was bundled, like it was a sort of, it has that issue I mentioned, the one shot that was included with the One Piece collection. It also includes the Dragon Ball Z crossover Cross Epic. And I mean, literally, like, fun thing is that they actually have the two artists collabing in these comics.
Huh.
Yeah. So Akira Toriyama and Eiichiro Oda collabed for Cross Epic, and the creator of Toriko and Oda worked on, well, Taste of the Devil Fruit.
Nice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely.
Sounds really cool.
Yep. Definitely a lot of really, really unique, really unique choices here from everybody. I was just thinking like someone. I'm actually shocked that no one has actually said Chowder yet, to be honest.
Yeah, I was gonna, but I figured I would let somebody else have that one.
I
But
feel I will give a special mention to another fun anime, Wars.
Nice.
That's
Nice,
it. It's
nice.
a comedy series that gets a little spicy at times.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah. Sure. But yeah. Yep, definitely an interesting one. So now it's time for the patent pending Dragoness Scale. We're going to rank Kuro this time. We're not going to rank Red because, well, spoiler, we're going to do an episode on her eventually in the future.
Yep.
So that'd be a lot of fun. But for now, Kuro for me, like I say, Grafaloon and Lasty Moon got a really, really good score. I want to give Kuro the same score I gave Lasty Moon, which in this case is going to be an 8 out of 10. Granted, I think because, number one, we see her in her Dragoness form a bit more than we saw either of the Dragonesses from last week. Number two, I really like what they did with her personality in that, or rather, with like her reaction to basically seeing the restaurant stuff like that is really, really fascinating. And of course, her coming in naked is funny in a way. And
Yes.
yeah, I don't know, she's such a well-rounded character, and she's thick. Her. But seriously though, I really like they gave her such internal conflict. Like she willingly isolated herself to the moon because she could not bear the thought of her basically innate being killing things. So she basically shut herself away for we don't know how many centuries until, of course, she eventually found the restaurant. And that's definitely a big factor. And if she was in her Dragoness form a little more, she'd get a higher score. But what can you do? And of course, the bottom heavy design definitely helps out there. So yeah, she's getting an 8 out of me. Probably a higher score than you guys would have expected, but that's the way it is. So Angron, what would you give her?
That's a little tricky because, like, I do get what you're saying. Her debut with her human form definitely worked in many ways. It was hilarious as all heck, and the other stuff that she does while in this form is also great. And to an extent, I do like her dragon form. The downside is, though, her dragon form could have been better looking. Like, her and Red share a similar design, so that doesn't bode well. But overall, her design is good. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's great. I just think it's good. Her character, thankfully, shines through as being reclusive, a little bit shy, a little antisocial, obviously, given the fact that she walked in without any clothes on. But I wouldn't exactly call her peak, in my opinion. And for that reason, I'm probably going to give her a 7 out of 10 out of modesty. Probably a 6, but I'll stick with 7.
All right. See, I can see why. I definitely can see where you're coming from there with a lot of it. And yep, same rating I think that Grafaloon got a lot of last week as well, so that'll be interesting. And yeah, as a whole, I can definitely see where you're coming from with it because I feel like part of the thing that hurts the Dragoness scale for us is that these shows don't really have the Dragonesses in their Dragoness form all the way through. So far, we don't know what's going to happen with the other two, but so far I definitely can kind of see that affecting it as well. So let's see. Math, what would you give her?
So once again, I have seen this entire series, so that's going to help with the rating that I give.
Nice.
I am actually the opposite here. I love her dragon design. It is probably, so far anyway, my favorite Western dragon design that I've seen in anime. It looks really nice. Just the details on it. This series has a great animation style, and it shows for something like this. And her character, she is what is commonly referred to in anime terms as a cinnamon roll. Very cute, very sweet, must protect, make sure nothing bad happens to her, those kind of characters. She is just really, really charming, and it's very adorable how she is throughout the whole series. Once again, because I am such a fan of these characters, and I have seen the whole series, 10.
Whoa, okay. I definitely get to see why, because yeah, she definitely has that cinnamon roll energy to her, and yeah, great design too. Like I say, I'm in total agreement with you. The Dragoness form is far and away, I think, superior to the elf maiden humanoid form. And yeah, if she stayed in the Dragoness form, maybe all the way through, that it would have. I probably could have given her a 10, but I easily see where you're coming from there because wow, she's honestly probably was my favorite character of the episode, to be honest.
I can see why.
Yep.
Mhm.
So let's see who's next. Shark, what would you give her?
Yep.
Okay, this one. Oh, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I was. Oh wait,
Go
no.
ahead.
Oh, never mind.
It's Shark's turn, dude.
Yeah, my
This
bad.
one's
I
kind
blanked.
of tricky because it is true that we did see more of her as a dragon than the dragons in the last week. But same time, yeah, I like her design. I'll start with that. I like her design and like her story that she isolates herself so she doesn't hurt anyone and all of that.
Yep.
That is a really good, like a good queer. Well, not queer, but like the whole idea behind her. Like I assume the whole anime is for her to maybe control that and start fearing getting near people and all that. So that's an interesting character arc that was set up with her. And yeah, like I already said, the moment she becomes human and arrests a restaurant in the nude, that's funny, but this is where it gets tricky because unlike Matt, well, I'm kind of just judging here for this episode and this episode alone. And yeah, here's the thing. Once she becomes humanoid, you could tell me she's a different character and I will believe it.
Yep.
Because yeah, unlike last week, she doesn't have many she doesn't have like the horns and all of that, and she doesn't have like the dragon strange or the whole sneezing and causing a fire thing. So outside of the hunger, I kind of have at least right now because I only seen her in this episode, but I do have a bit of difficulty connecting the two forms she has. You get me, don't you?
Yeah, no, I understand
Yeah.
completely. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. Like, yeah, I know if I watched more episodes, maybe the whole opinion I have of her human form will make sense. But as it is, I guess it does translate well into a human form. Kind of wish it was a little bit more dragonic, but yeah, it kind of. I guess it works as it is, but I'm gonna have to give her a 7 out of 10. Maybe if I watched more episodes, like Matt said, I will give her a higher scoreboard. So we're doing just this. It's a 7.
All good.
Mhm.
Yep. I hear where you're coming from as well. But like I say, yeah, just judging from this episode, I feel like since this is the only episode of the entire show that I've seen, and like I say, I liked it, but I feel like with Math, if I watched the entire show or maybe the entire series, I probably would have had a better grasp on her. But instead of just judging it in a vacuum, but yeah, that's all right. So let's see. Last off is Stryker. What would you give Kuro?
You know what? From the descriptions that I've heard of her, to be honest, I was gonna give her a 7, but I'm bumping her up to an 8. To be honest, because like
Oh.
the way
Nice.
the way you guys described her, I'm actually considering both. She might be a better character than I thought, as well as I need to watch the rest of this show.
Yeah, you might.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. Like I say, I definitely could see why because she has a great design, great character, great voice and everything too. Like I say, the dub voice for her is really good. And overall, this is one of the rare times, another rare thing on the Dragoness Scale, we have a palindrome rating. That means in this case we have 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. That has very rarely happened. This might actually be the first time this has happened, so definitely kind of
That's
funny.
interesting.
Yep. So, yeah, definitely interesting Dragon Scale and interesting episode in general. So, that's going to be it for this week. If you have any questions or if you want to suggest what you'd want to see in a crossover between this show and Chowder, you can feel free to email us at fierydiscourse@outlook.com. Visit us on Twitter at twitter.com/fierydiscourse. Visit us at Blue Sky at Blue Sky Fiery Discourse. Be sure to subscribe to the Fiery Discourse YouTube channel, subscribe to the playlist, like and hit the bell icon, leave a comment. Any and all comments are appreciated. Also, one of our co-hosts, Lucky Evie, is looking to get to a group home in the UK that will also be in the description for anyone who wants to help. Any and all assistance is appreciated. next week, we'll be talking about the 2011 Tsukimichi episode of Failed Hero. That's the next episode for our theme month of Isekai Month. And that's going to be a lot of fun. Like I say, it'll be the third installment of the month, and we're looking forward to it. Yep.
All right.
Yep, going to be
Can't
a
wait
lot of
for
fun
that.
to talk about that and see more Dragonesses. And yeah, so going to be a lot more Dragonesses to talk about too. And this is not going to be the only Isekai month. I just want to put that out there right now. But yep, that's going to be it for this week. And until then, thank you all so much for watching, and take care.
Later.
So.
Adios. See you all next week.